You might be wondering, it all started maybe this chapter, the origin of this chapter, him wanting to write this chapter on the starting of everything. Maybe it started when Gandhi met Louis Fisher. Is that how it started? No. Shukla was persistent. He never left. So Gandhi finally had to make time, and then Shukla took him to Babu Rajendra Prasad. The peasants also realized that they also have rights. When they won, they also have rights. They realized, and with rights came a lot of courage. Hello and welcome to your prep school English classes. I am your English teacher, Kshama. Today in this session, we are going to learn the next chapter, which is the second chapter from your Flamingo textbook named as Indigo. Now, are we going to learn how the color indigo is extracted from its plant source? No, it's not about that. It's about the story behind indigo. What did indigo lead to? Now, before we start, in this session, I have whatever the story that we are going to discuss about. We're going to discuss about the author, of course, the background, summary of the lesson, and we are going to recap what was the story about, what are the details in the story that we have learnt. So without wasting any time, let's jump in right away. Now in this session, before beginning, I have a couple of questions. Have you ever been subjected to, violence and injustice in real life? Okay, it could be being ill-treated by somebody else. In that case, how did you decide to stand up against it and get justice? What did you do? And is getting justice in a violent way, is violence the answer? Is that the solution? Or what are the qualities of being a good leader? When you have to be a leader, there comes a lot of responsibilities in being a leader. There are a lot many people behind you who have faith and trust in you. How do you deal with it? What are the qualities of being a good leader? Now I asked you, what are the ways to fight back and get justice? Is violence the way? Is it the solution then? What are the qualities of a good leader? Have you ever been a victim of unfairness? Or also I have another major question. Can you believe everything that is there in the store of history? Is everything written in the books of history true? What makes you believe it? Or what makes you not believe it in that case? So these are the couple of questions I want you to think over before us beginning. Now in this session today, we have the lesson called Indigo, written by Louis Fisher. Now who is Louis Fisher? Louis Fisher is an American journalist. He was a volunteer in the British Army in the year 1918 to 1920. That is also one thing about him. And he wrote for the New York Times and the Saturday Review. These are the two things that he wrote for. And what are some of his notable works? The God That Failed in 1949 and The Life of Mahatma Gandhi. Now this was also made into an Academy Award-winning movie, which is Gandhi, in the year 1982. Now the extract that we are going to study, Indigo, is based on one of the incidents, one of the major incidents or the pioneer of it all. What started it all in the first place? What made Gandhi start a non-violent movement and a non-violent urge towards British, to departure, to leave India and go away? What made him take up that non-violent way? Where did it all start? Everything has a reason, everything has a cause, right? So where did it all start? We want to know, and this is the lesson that lets us know. And the last one that he has written is Life of Lenin, which has also won the National Book Award in History and Biography. So this person over here is Louis Fisher. He is an American journalist. He was a British volunteer in the army in the year 1918 and 1920. He wrote for the Saturday Review and the New York Times. Some of his major works are listed over here. The first one is the God That Failed and the Life of Mahatma Gandhi, which is based on the life of Mahatma Gandhi, which was also made into a movie called Gandhi, and it won the Academy Award. The final one is The Life of Lenin, which was written in 1965, which won the National Book Award in History and Biography. Now that's what we know about Louis Fisher. Now you might be wondering, where did it all start then? Did it start when Gandhi met Fisher? Where did it all start? Let's understand over here. It all started, you might be wondering, it all started maybe this chapter, the origin of this chapter, him wanting to write this chapter on the starting of everything. Maybe it started when Gandhi met Louis Fisher. Is that how it started? No. In the year when Gandhi met Fisher, it was in 1942. It was not then that this story started. So where did it started? We'll go one after the other. Now, Fisher met Gandhi in his ashram in Sevagram, which was in the central part of India. Sevagram, central part of India. There, Louis Fisher met Gandhi. And he wanted to know personally, how did it all start? How did you started to urge British to leave the country and go away? What made you start? Gandhi had promised Fisher that I will tell you. I will definitely tell you when it all started. And he started telling the story of how it all began. And that happened in the year 1916. Okay, so it did not happen when Gandhi met Fisher. It happened when Gandhi met Shukla. Who is Shukla? Let's understand. So, urging the British to departure or leave India, when did it all start? When Rajkumar Shukla met Gandhi. That's right. That is where it all started. So, in the year 1916, December 1916, when there was annual convocation of the National Congress Party was happening in Lucknow. There, a lot of delegates had come, some 2,301 delegates, visitors, everybody had come to the National Congress Party annual convocation, which was held in December 1916. It all started there. How? A lot of delegates, a lot of visitors had come. But there was one important person waiting to meet Gandhi. He's not so important in the context, but he is the one, in a way, who, that put that fire of wanting the freedom or wanting it our way. He's the one who started it all, we can say. Who is he? Rajkumar Shukla is a peasant, is a poor peasant like any other peasant from India. He is from Champaran district. Champaran is near Nepal. Okay, he is from that place. Now, he is also a poor peasant. Why has he come to meet Gandhi? In the National Congress Party annual convocation, he has come wanting to meet Gandhi. Why does he want to meet him now? Let's understand. He's a peasant from Champaran, Nepal, that we got to know. And he is here to talk about an ancient arrangement. He is unhappy, and there are a lot many who were unhappy with the ancient arrangement. What is the ancient arrangement? The arrangement is that the Champaran peasants, those who were there, they were sharecroppers. Now, what is sharecropping? What is happening over here? In Bihar, there was land lot system, meaning whatever the arable land, the land where you can put the crops and cultivate the plants, that land was divided into estates, and the estate owners were Englishmen. Now, Indians, although the land belonged to them originally, they were the tenants in their own land. The land belonged to whom? The land belonged to the Englishmen. These arable lands divided into estates were being owned by the Englishmen. But the tenants were who? It was the Indians. Now, what was the deal? What was the ancient arrangement? That is the mystery, right? The ancient arrangement was that whatever the land is there, the major commercial crop that was being grown was indigo. Yes, right. That is what our chapter is, the name of the chapter is as well, right? This indigo over here was the major commercial crop. And the ancient arrangement was that whatever the land is there, 15% of the land has to be used to grow indigo. And whatever the harvest is, it has to be completely submitted or surrendered to the English owners of the estate. You get nothing out of it. Commercial crop, major commercial crop is what? Indigo. Now this indigo, 15% of the land has to be used to grow indigo. Then that entire 15% has to be given to whom? It has to be given to Englishmen. Yes, exactly. The owners of the estate. Now, how unfair is that? The Indian tenants get nothing out of this, right? Now, why was Rajkumar Shukla unhappy about it all of a sudden? Why has he come all of a sudden? Now, what happened to this indigo is that Germany came up with synthetic indigo, which means the value of actual indigo, it went down. There was an alternate that had come in the market. So the market for natural indigo nearly went down. That is why these landowners or the English land owners, what did they do? They came to the sharecroppers and they said, now you have to compensate whatever we are losing. In order to break this ancient arrangement that is there, if you want to break away from it, you have to give us compensation. This 15% land that we were using to grow or to have indigo, now it is no more possible. So you have to give us compensation in order to relieve yourselves from this 15%. Many of them actually agreed because they were poor, they were illiterate, there was nobody to protect them. But People like Rajkumar Shukla stood against it. They went to even tried to go to the lawyers. But the landlords, they hired goons and thugs, and these peasants were beaten up. Now, the only option left with Rajkumar Shukla was that he finds Gandhi and he makes sure that Gandhi comes and does something about it. So that is the reason he was behind Gandhi, and that is where it all started. The Champaran incident is the one that led to the beginning of it all. Okay, so he comes, he explains about the situation, what is happening and what is that we need. Okay, but Gandhi at that time had a lot of commitments. He was going around to a lot of places. He was paying attention and dealing with a lot of issues at the moment. So he did not have time for that. But Shukla was persistent. He went wherever Gandhi went, be it his ashram, be it any campaign he was going to, any place he was visiting to. Shukla was persistent. He never left. So Gandhi finally had to make time. And then Shukla took him to Babu Rajendra Prasad, who was the first, later on he went on to become the first president of our country as well as the Congress party. But back then he was a lawyer. So he took Gandhiji, Shukla took Gandhiji to Babu Rajendra Prasad. But at the moment he was not there. So his servants, whose servants? Babu Rajendra Prasad's servants thought, they recognized Shukla. They knew that Shukla is one poor peasant who keeps, bothering our master with some request that he has. But today, they actually thought that he has come with just another servant. They, misunderstood Gandhi to be just another servant, and they made them sit in one place where the servants are usually made to sit. Now, the brutality of the situation comes to such an extent that they are not allowed to take even a drop of water from the well. Because who knows, the guarantee that they are not untouchables. Now, there was a practice as such, I'm assuming that you're aware of, which is called as the untouchability. Now, what is untouchability? It is a social evil. A social evil that discriminates, it exploits and harasses a people of certain social group. Okay, that is called as untouchability. They are not given access to the basic amenities. They are discriminated, they're harassed, exploited, and so is the worst condition. Now, that is the practice of untouchability. Over here, this is nothing but untouchability when Shukla or even Gandhi, for that matter, are not supposed to touch the well or take water from the well. At that moment, Gandhi realized the severity of the situation, how intense and how grave is the condition over here, and I need to heed to it. I need to do something about this, is what Gandhi thought. Now, how did they not know that they were not untouchables, and how can you let them drink the water? So, upon realizing the intensity and severity of the situation, he decided to head to Muzaffarpur, where he had to collect more information. So, he wrote a telegram to J.B. Kripalani, who was a professor in the Arts College of Muzaffarpur, where Gandhi wanted to know more about what was happening, and it could be known by collecting a lot of information. So, he contacted J.B. Kripalani through telegram. And later on, he had met J.B. Kripalani in Tagore's Shantiniketan school, which is in West Bengal. Okay, he had met him there. And where did he stay when he went to Muzaffarpur? He went to Professor Maklani's house. He used to be a government professor. But for a government professor who worked for the government and, stayed in a small rural area, it was a big thing to have somebody who advocated home rule. Now, what is home rule? It's a very basic thing that you need to know. It's like the subtext or very covertly hidden in your text. Gandhi advocated home rule. What is home rule? Home rule is wanting to have your country run by your own people or regions run by your own people. You stand for that. And Gandhi was an advocate of that. At that point of time when there was British rule and everything, to be a home rule advocate, to stand by home rule is a big thing. But without considering that or without fearing any of that, Professor Maklani decided to give him shelter, decided to host him. And that was a big thing for Gandhi at that time. But when people got to know that Gandhi was staying in Muzaffarpur, a lot of peasants from Champaran started visiting him, he had become the champion, and they all wanted to see him. They all wanted to express their grief and their pathetic condition to him. Some of the lawyers also contacted Gandhi and they briefed him about the cases, but he was very critical about the fact that they are actually taking a lot of money, they are extracting a lot of money from people, which is not okay. They are the ones who are the victims. They are the ones who are suffering. Then how can you do this? You as people of this place, of being on this side of the peasants, you should be the ones who are supporting them, who are standing by them. How are you being able to take so much money from them as fee or as a charge? So he chided on them. Then we got to know about the backdrop of indigo as a commercial crop. What was the situation? So most of the arable lands were divided into estates, and who were the estate owners? These were the Englishmen. And what did they want? The chief commercial crop at that point of time was indigo. So they wanted 15% of the land should be used to grow what? Indigo. And that should be entirely submitted to the English landlords. Okay? That was still fine. But what happened? Germany came up with synthetic indigo, and now people had to, in order to relieve themselves from the 15% ancient arrangement, they had to pay the compensation and relieve themselves. Okay, what did these poor people do when Germany came up with synthetic indigo and the indigo's rate went down? Nothing, right? So it is a burden on them, a loss to them when you are extracting money from them, you're exploiting them, right? Now, many of them had agreed to it, some had rebelled, some also got beaten up by thugs and goons. But now that Gandhi has arrived, what is Gandhi doing? Gandhi visited Secretary of the British Landlords Association. Nothing happened over there. Then he also visited the British Official Commissioner. There also it was of no use. They asked him to go back, retrieve the path that you have come and go back. There's nothing that is going to happen over here. Then there was also news of the peasants being ill-treated, which Gandhi heard. So Gandhi decided to go and visit and see by himself what is happening. He decided to go on the back of the elephant, but he was ordered to quit whatever mission that you are taking up by the police, British police. What happened after that? When he was ordered not to take it up, he instructed the ashram, he sent instructions to the ashram. He also contacted Babu Rajendra Prasad and instructed him that, come with a lot of influential friends of yours, so that if anything goes wrong here, we have to be prepared. So a lot of things, whatever that has to be needed for the backfall or just in case if it is required, everything was set. And then later, Gandhi received summons as to quit all the mission that he was taking up. Then he sent instructions to the ashrams and also telegrammed Babu Rajendra Prasad saying that, bring a couple of your influential friends and keep it ready just in case. Then people got to know that the Mahatma was in trouble. Although they did not know his account of what he did in South Africa and how he helped people, all people knew that there was some Mahatma who wanted to help us out of trouble. And now he himself is in trouble. It's our time to help him. So the next day, Motihari, which is the capital of Champaran. He had come to Champaran now. Motihari is the capital. Peasants were filled in that place. The next day, it was completely dotted with peasants, and it became impossible for the officials to have a control over them. They became powerless. Without the help of Gandhi, they were not able to do anything. And that is where Gandhi realized that, unity is the freedom from fear and the fear of British people, fear of other people having control over us. When you stand united, there is nothing anybody can do. Nobody can break you, right? What happens? Gandhi refused because there was a conflict of duties where it is true that he wants to stand by the law is what protects us. But this law over here is not protecting us. So what should I exactly stand by? He decides to stand by the people. He refuses to take bail or plead guilty. He doesn't do it. But then the judge releases him. Looking at all the condition, everyone is standing united. Entire Motihari is filled with peasants. Everyone is standing with him. And they are standing for the cause of freedom from this exploitation, right? So there was no choice for the judge. The judge releases him. What happens after that? There were some prominent lawyers, correct, on Gandhi's side. So he asks him a question, a basic question. What happens if I get arrested at this point right now? If I get arrested, what will you do? And the answer of the lawyers was as such, sir, if you get arrested, there will be nobody for us to give advice for or to protect for or to stand by. So we will all go home. That's what we are going to do. But what Gandhi said was that although he is a stranger, he doesn't know these people personally. He is ready to go to jail for their cause, for their freedom, for what they are suffering. He's ready to go to jail. He is ready to be a prisoner for them. But these are the people over here, the prominent lawyers are actually the residents of the adjoining districts. They are the people who belong to that place. Now, isn't it shameful that they can call themselves the natives of that place while they're not ready to stand for their own people? And they say, if you're not there, we'll just go home. There'll be nobody to advise. When Gandhi says so, I will be ready to go to jail for the cause of these people. Although I am stranger to them and they are strangers to me, I see what they are going through, so I will stand by them. Hearing this, the prominent lawyers or the people who were there, they say that, yes, we will also follow you. If it comes to that scenario, that situation, we will also follow you to jail and we will stand by you. That is when Gandhi says, the battle of Champaran is won now. It is won because we stand united. We stand united for one cause, that is freedom from exploitation. Correct? Moving forward, what happens after this is that the governor of the province, he says that the civil disobedience, it has won over us and we are dropping the case. The case was dropped. But after this, Gandhi did not stop. Although the case was dropped, what was the case? It was a case, Gandhi was summoned, right? So that case was dropped. This Indigo's case, nothing has even started about this case. So Gandhi proceeded with his inquiry, but the landlords protested. They did not wanted him to proceed with the inquiry, okay? After that, he was again summoned by Sir Edward, who is also the governor. And at this time, again, the backup plans were made. Just in case if I don't come, the ashram was instructed, Babu Rajendra Prasad was instructed, but something different happened this time. There was an official commission or the official committee that will be formed, a commission of inquiry that will have the government officials, landlords and Gandhi. Gandhi will be, of course, representing the peasants. Now, this official commission of inquiry will look into the case of Indigo. What is this landlord system? What is happening? What is the 15% and the compensation that is going on? This official commission of inquiry will look into it. It will have landlords, government officials and Gandhi. Finally, the case was against the landlords and for the peasants. And when that happened, Gandhi said that 50% of the loss that the peasants have gone through has to be, it has to be paid back and not 25%. We will not be happy with the 25% money that you're going to return to us. We want 50%. It is not just about, giving money. It is also about sacrificing the that control that you have over another. It is about sacrificing, giving up that pride as well. And also making, there was refund of not just 25%, but 50% that has to be done. Then along with money, prestige also has to be surrendered. That is what is going to happen. Later on, the peasants also realized that they also have rights. When they won, they also have rights, they realized, and with rights came a lot of courage. They were ready to stand up for themselves. When they won this, it gave them a lot of courage, and it also made them realize that they also have rights over what belongs to them. And they also have the capacity to fight against what is not okay. Now, after this, after the case of Champaran was won, the British planters also started to move away from the estate. They vacated the estate, and the sharecropping of indigo, it also vanished with time. Now, does our chapter end over here? The issue of indigo arose. There was an issue of indigo that started, and Gandhi went, he started to deal with it. There were a little obstacles, but people stood united and it was solved. They won it. But does this end here? No, it doesn't. Okay. Where does it lead to after this? Now, Gandhi decides there's a lot of cultural and social backwardness that still exists in Champaran. Without treating that, if you just, decorate the outer version or the whatever that you see, the outer plant, if you decorate it, that's with lights and glitters, that's not enough. You have to treat the roots. For the plant to grow up and be the amazing, strong tree, the roots are to be treated. Now, what are the roots? Basic education. There was no education over there. So Gandhi decided to call some of his disciples who had recently joined as his disciples. 2 men and their wives came up as volunteers and they started. Then Devdas, who is Gandhi's youngest son, along with his mother and Gandhi's wife, Kasturbaiji, she also came. They started over 6 schools. 6 primary schools were started in the nearby villages. That's about education over here. There were a couple of disciples and their wives who volunteered along with Devdas and Kasturbaiji. Devdas is, of course, Gandhiji's youngest son. They came up and they volunteered themselves in education, providing education. They started over 6 schools. After that is health and hygiene. They had to be educated about personal hygiene, community hygiene, sanitary, sewage, drainage, everything. They had to be educated. They had to be made aware of the importance of such things, how they are mutually contributing each other, be it health, hygiene, education, everything. So for that, there was also a doctor, volunteer doctor that was appointed for 6 months. What were the medicines that were there? There were only 3 medicines, and whatever the issue was, they were given in exchange, or they were given like a combination of 2 or 3, the same medicines, but they were like repeated. There was castor oil, quinine, and sulfur ointment. These were the only 3 medicines that were there. And at the same time, Gandhi had one eye over the ashram as well. He can't ignore the ashram, right? This incident over here, the Champaran incident, was a turning point in Gandhi's life, where he decided the British, who do not belong to this land, who are foreigners, they cannot tell me or they cannot rule over me, right? British could not order me about my own country. I can't take their orders. Those who do not know about my land, those who have not lived and who have not cherished this land, they cannot tell me what I have to do. They can't give me orders, right? That is, this incident over here was the turning point in Gandhi's life. That is where it all started. A non-violent movement against British, against wanting British to leave India and give us the freedom that we deserved. Later on, there's one more important thing. How is Gandhi's vision? What sort of vision did Gandhi have for India, for the individuals of India for that matter? Now, others' politics is as such, they give you a lot of, promises. They give you a lot of, they create a world of assumptions. They assure a lot of things to you, such as, I'll promise to give you water, electricity, and all the basic amenities and lot more, a good road, transportation, everything. But once when they have won and are in that authoritative position, all that they do is it moves into abstraction. Nothing comes into reality. Those were all fake promises that went into air. But in case of Gandhi, Louis Fisher says that in his case, it is loyalty to living. He promises you the things that he will do, and he will do it. He will bring it into reality. You will see people actually living through the promises, right? After this, what sort of India does Gandhi envision? He envisions the India which is self-sustained, which can take care of itself. It can provide itself. It can take care of itself. It happens only with the individuals who can take care of themselves. In order to prove this lesson for us comes in the incident where there was Charles Freer Andrews. He was an English pacifist, but he was very much a follower of Gandhi, and he very much wanted to stay back and help with this movement. His lawyers, Gandhi's friends and lawyers also recommended that if it is good to have Freer Andrews in our side, isn't it? But Gandhi feels that you want to have an Englishman on your side just to benefit your cause. You're still being dependent on some other person, right? We cannot do it that way. We have to support ourselves. We have to stand on our own 2 feet if we have to fight our own battles. We can't take support from anybody else. That is one example of how much Gandhi wanted India and Indians to be self-reliant, to be self-sufficient. On that note, that is where we end. I hope I've made this story very clear to you. Although there were a couple of incidents, I hope the map or the flow of this lesson is clear to you. Go and read the lesson completely. Do not miss out on any details. Make the story into chunks so that it is better for you to understand, better for you to recollect and have your own thoughts about it. What led to what? If this wouldn't have been this way, if Gandhi hadn't gone to Champaran at the right moment, what would have happened? The peasants were being ill-treated. What else could have happened? Anticipate such things and write a note on what you felt about this story and how much it impacted you. On that note, I'll see you all in the next class. Tata. Thank you.